So we're now back inside. It's bloody cold outside. It's 9:30 in the morning on in winter, so it's freezing outside. So I thought I'd come back inside and we're going to go for a little drive. Keys, always useful. This should already be warm, so it should start straight up. Check us out, gear. Purrs like a kitten. We're going to go for a drive around the country. I'll show you some of the handling characteristics. It will not roll, would you believe? So, first gear. Move away. Cruising along at 50. It's not too noisy. There's a little bit of wind buffeting coming from the driver's door. The fan's on. I don't know if you can hear that over the racket from the engine and the exhaust. I mentioned in a previous video it's only got one silencer and it's at the back. So there's a pipe that runs down the middle for the exhaust. One silencer at the back. It's not very big, it's very similar to a Mini in diameter and size, so it's just awful for road noise. You hear absolutely everything because there's no sound deadening anywhere. The only bit of sound deadening I've managed to find is behind the two walls of the engine bay, and I think that's more to keep the heat out from your legs than to actually deaden the noise. I've changed the exhaust as I mentioned, but I think it's blowing. There's a very slight putt-putt noise, which also adds to the volume in here. Generally speaking, a very loud driving experience. A cyclist didn't want to give me any room. That being said, it cruises very nicely. We're doing 50. It's very comfortable. It feels very stable. They don't fall over these. Everyone says, oh, Top Gear, they'll fall over all the time. If you weld the diff and put a load of concrete on the driver's side, then yes, it will. But if you just drive it normally like you would any other car, there really is no inherent danger to driving a three-wheeler. It will do 70. I've only had 70 out of it. I don't really want to go any faster. It's not so much a stability issue. I don't want my ears to bleed. It is very, very loud in here, especially when you're going hard. And I have a radio, but as I mentioned, it's only got one speaker, so it's not the best radio, and I don't really want to listen to the sound of a thrumming fiberglass box. The idle's a bit high on this. I've done some modifications to the manifold, and I don't know if that means it's getting a bit too much air, but I've richen the mixture up. Adjusted the idle, and the idle's actually on its lowest setting, and it still makes an absolute racket at idle. I did do the tappets when I did the head gasket, but I suspect I didn't do them right, and so it's a little bit tappety. The last one I had was quite a bit quieter than this, and it had done 40,000 more miles. That being said, this car's clearly had some abuse, so whether that's an issue with the engine or just the fact that I didn't do them properly, I'm not sure. We're doing 30 in fourth. One of the reasons I mentioned some of the cars could do 100 miles an hour, one of the reasons they went back to doing 85 was because people complained they couldn't do 30 miles an hour in fourth gear. I mean, personally that doesn't bother me. I've got a 6-speed Fiesta and I have to do 30 in about third or fourth, so it's not that easy to get into sixth in that car to do 30. So to be honest, doing 30 and fourth doesn't bother me. 0 to 60 in around 16 seconds. I don't think, even with the modifications I've done, it will go much quicker. The problem you've got is the engine just doesn't, it revs well, but it doesn't like screaming. And you have to really give it some to stretch it out. It'll do 60 quite happily, but it doesn't like to get there that quickly. As you can see, we've done quite a few sharp bends, and I haven't yet fallen over and died. I do have to slow down. You have to be aware of the fact that you've got 3 wheels. But you don't have to be scared of the fact that you've got 3 wheels. It really isn't a dangerous car to drive. It isn't going to fall over. And even if you do block a wheel, you've got an open dip. So the second the inside wheel unloads, it starts spinning and all the power gets sent to that wheel and the car drops back down. It's not a dangerous car to drive. You don't all fall over. If you really, really go for it, of course you will. But if you really go for it in a front wheel drive car, you'll career straight off the road into a tree. So I don't really feel that unsafe. You may be able to hear a lot of banging and clatting. The wheels kick up rocks and the fiberglass wheel arches. There's no sound ending. You hear that straight away. It's just banging against the inside of the fiberglass. No doubt chipping all the gel off. You may have been able to hear I unloaded the wheel there. Deliberately. The car made no effort to roll over. It's relatively nippy. I wouldn't say it's, you know, it's not speedy. You're also aware of the fact you've got one brake on the front and it's a drum brake. And it's only under a 10-inch wheel, so it's not a big brake. Because of where it is as well, it doesn't really cool down very easily. It's tucked behind a tyre, so you've got not really a lot of chance to cool it down. I mean, it will cool, but not that quickly, I would say. And there's not really any way to modify them. You can't put disc brakes on these. There's no disc brake conversion. Later one last treat. We're going to attempt a 0 to 60. I've not done this before, so we'll see how it goes. That's 30. And 60. And now she's cruising nicely.